Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Carolina Panthers. And if you ask me, it was kind of a. I think the Panthers overachieved a little bit this year. If you look at last year, if Carolina Panthers, they were supposed to be tanking for the number one overall pick, but they ended up 7-10. They still ended up with the number one overall pick. Thus, as you see right now, that's why they landed Bryce Young as a QB. Last year was a tale of two seasons for most. First, like 7 or 8 games, they did not go well for the Panthers. They looked like the worst team. But then, I don't know, something just clicked. The running game started working out more. The defense was doing great as well too. So let's take a look at how the schedule went last year. Last year the Panthers went 7-10, and like I said in the intro, it was a tale of two seasons. They started off the season losing to the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants before getting a win against the Saints. Then 3 tough losses against the NFC West. And after the 49er game, it was a coaching change for the Carolina Panthers. We'll talk about that in the highlights. They somehow beat the Bucks week 7. Lose a heartbreaker against Atlanta. Blown out by Cincinnati. Then they got to bounce back against the Falcons. Shut down by the Ravens. Finally beat the Broncos. Beat the Seattle Seahawks on the road. That was like the biggest win of their season. Beating the Lions. And then, unfortunately, their season basically came to an end against the Bucks, losing to them the second go round. Okay, let's talk about the highlights. And the biggest highlight for the Panthers this year was firing Matt Rule at week 5. And if you asked me, as a Panther fan, Matt Rule should have been fired at the end of 2021 season. But the only reason he stayed around was the contract. The albatross terrible contract he signed was the only reason why Matt Rule stayed where he was at. So after the week 5 game against the 49ers, where that stadium was filled with 49ers fans, it was time for him to go. 1-4 start, there was no turning back. And now he's back in college, and hopefully he'll succeed there. The running game was another highlight. And you're thinking, a running game with Christian McCaffrey? No. McCaffrey got traded after week 6. They ran the ball well with Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. And before J.C. Horn got hurt in a very important game against the Bucks, he was on pace. PPF was grading him. He was one of the highest graded corners in the league before his injury. And hopefully year 3 he could develop even further. Now for some lowlights. And the first one is the Baker Mayfield experience. It did not work at all for Baker. I can't think of anything positive about that. About the 6 games he started. And then after his start against the Ravens, he was asked for his release, which he was granted, thus being shipped to the Los Angeles Rams. And now he plays for the Bucks. And speaking of the Bucks, that week 17 game hurt because Panthers, what if they would have won that game? They would have controlled their own destiny against in the NFC South, and hey, they would have been in a playoff game in Charlotte. Went from firing their terrible head coach in the beginning of the season to making the postseason. That would have been a nice story. But unfortunately, Mike Evans had other plans. Now, looking at their offseason, the Panthers have been pretty much one of the busiest teams on the offense on this year in free agency. Just look at their acquisitions, majority of them being on the offense. This included Adam Thielen's second run with the Carolina Panthers. He had a preseason run before he went to Minnesota, but it didn't work out. DJ Chark, Miles Sanders, Hayden Hurst, he's coming home. Von Bell, Andy Dalton, and more importantly, the pride of Davidson County, Shy Tuttle, is now a Carolina Panther. Now, in the midst of all this, they did lose both their quarterbacks, PJ Walker, Sam Darnold. They lost Deontay Foreman, and sadly, DJ Moore was the victim of the whole Bryce Young trade. And speaking of Bryce Young, he was the number one overall pick. Now, do I think he'll be the week one starter? Part of me say he is, part of me say he's not. I won't be surprised if Andy Dalton starts week one. But other than that, the Jonathan Mingo pick, I like that a lot as well. And because of the Bryce Young trade, they only had 5 picks in this year in the draft. But can the Panthers make that move to be contenders? I think they got the roster to do it. Let's take a look. Okay, Carolina Panthers, let's take a look at your schedule. And they're going to start their season on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Falcons, again, they're a team that's really unknown. And I think this game could go in any direction. I'm actually going to take the Falcons because I think that they're the home team. I think that's a safe bet to go. And that follows up with the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football, the home opener. Like I said, I won't be surprised if Andy Dalton's the starter. But the way the Panthers have often played well against the Saints, I do think they're going to Panthers winning this game on Monday night's home crowd, home opener. I think Charlotte will be loud for that one. But against the Seattle Seahawks, I do think Seattle gets their revenge from last year. And I got the Panthers falling to Seattle in that game. Minnesota Vikings. This is another one of those toss-up games, in my opinion. This game will show me where the Panthers are in their development. And honestly thinking, I do think the Panthers have a chance to win this one. I'm actually going to give them the win here at home. So far they're 2-2. But against the Lions and Dolphins, I am going to give them losses there. Got them losing to both the Lions and the Dolphins week 5 and week 6. And they have a bye week, week 7, which they'll put them at 2-4, which for them could be a lot worse. And coming out their bye week, they got the Houston Texans. Probably at this point, Bryce Young will be starting. And both teams coming off a bye. Panthers are at home. I'm giving them a win here. I'm also giving them a win against the Indianapolis Colts. Although I do think that game's going to be very, very close. Just saying. It's also a Frank Reich revenge game. But against the Chicago Bears, that's a Thursday night game. I'm giving them a loss. And their first home loss will be against the Dallas Cowboys. Then the Panthers got the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to give them a road win against the Titans. I am not high on Tennessee this year. Sorry. And week 13 on the road against Tampa, I think they went on the road again. I think they get a road win there. But against the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to go ahead and give them a loss here. So the Panthers have a 3 road game stretch after week 11. Kind of odd. And to round up the schedule, I do got them getting revenge against the Falcons, beating the Packers. That's what the coin says. I got them losing to Jacksonville. And I actually got them sweeping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to put their schedule at 9-8. Now I don't know if that's going to be enough for the postseason for them, but 9-8 will be a pretty good. I think could be a pretty nice stepping stone for what to come for the Carolina Panthers in the future. So tell me in the comments below what record you think the Panthers are going to have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.